Ever pondered what makes a nation democratic? Democracy, in essence, is a form of government where power rests with the people. They exercise this power either directly or through elected representatives. It's a system steeped in principles of political equality, pluralism, and the safeguarding of individual rights and liberties. In a democracy, every voice matters, every vote counts. It's a system where you and I, the common people, have the power to shape the political landscape. Democratic governments are typically structured with a system of checks and balances. This setup is designed to prevent power from being concentrated in the hands of a few, ensuring that those in power are held accountable for their actions. It's a fascinating system, really. Take the United States or Norway, for instance. In these democracies, citizens have the right and the means to actively participate in the political process. It's the people's power that truly defines a democracy. What about tyranny? Ever wondered how it manifests? Tyranny, in stark contrast to democracy, is a form of government where power is held by a single ruler or a small group. This rule is exercised without legal or popular consent, often making a mockery of the concept of for the people, by the people. Where democracy encourages discussion and debate, tyranny suppresses dissent. It's a system that thrives on the control of information, shaping narratives to suit the interests of the ruler or ruling group, and not the citizens. Tyranny is a rule through fear and manipulation, a stark contrast to the open and accountable governance we see in democratic societies. It's a system that exercises power for the sake of power, often disregarding the welfare and rights of the people it governs. History has seen its share of tyrants. From the ancient world, we have examples like Dionysius of Syracuse. Dionysius seized power and ruled with no regard for the law or the welfare of his citizens. His reign was marked by personal power and control, not public service. And in the modern world, we see the rule of Kim Jong-un in North Korea. His regime, often described as tyrannical, exerts extreme control over many aspects of life, limits freedoms, and allegedly commits human rights abuses. Tyrants, from ancient times like Dionysius of Syracuse to modern-day leaders like Kim Jong-un, rule without regard for the welfare of their citizens. Democracy and tyranny, two polar opposites, but what really sets them apart? Democracy and tyranny might seem like black and white concepts, but it's the shades of gray in between that truly define them. Let's delve a little deeper to understand the implications of both forms of governance. Starting with democracy, the aim is to reflect the will of the majority. It's a system where your voice and your vote matter. It's the people's rule where the power to decide who governs lies in the hands of the citizens. But a key characteristic of a healthy democracy is the protection of minority rights. It's not just about majority rule, but also about ensuring that all voices, including those of the minority, can be heard in the political process. Moreover, democratic governments are typically structured with checks and balances to prevent the concentration of power and ensure accountability. The United States, for example, has a system of checks and balances among its executive, legislative, and judicial branches. Norway, often cited as one of the world's most democratic nations, practices a parliamentary system where the public elects representatives who then choose the government. On the flip side, tyranny often benefits the ruler or ruling elite at the expense of the populace. It's a system where power is held without legal or popular consent. Tyrannies often suppress dissent, control information, and rule through fear and manipulation. For instance, Dionysius of Syracuse in ancient Greece became a tyrant by seizing power and ruling without regard for the law or citizen welfare. In the modern era, the rule of Kim Jong-un in North Korea is often described as tyrannical, with the government exerting extreme control over many aspects of life, limiting freedoms, and allegedly committing human rights abuses. So in essence, while democracies thrive on participation and debate, tyrannies suppress these very aspects of governance. It's the difference between a system where power is shared and one where power is seized, between a government for the people and one above the people. In essence, democracies thrive on participation and debate, whereas tyrannies suppress these very aspects of governance. So, democracy or tyranny, which would you choose? Democracy, with its focus on equality, pluralism, and protection of individual rights, encourages active political participation and lively debate. Tyranny, however, often seeks to limit these, benefiting the ruling elite at the expense of the populace. The examples we've discussed today shed light on these stark contrasts. Remember, the choice between democracy and tyranny often boils down to the choice between freedom and oppression.